Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Faisal Raza and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, despite of all hurdles, security threats and rumors at different levels, election 2024 held and people elected their representatives. As a result of split mandate, different political parties are in process of forming a government. This is going to be a coalition government where the leading political party, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, along with Pakistan People's Party, are leading this coalition, and this is going to form soon because the benchmarks are already set. How a PMLN and People's Party led coalition government will take on the economic, social and security challenges, how they pave the way for entire nation to get out of the stress, particularly the chaos and ongoing economic crisis. It is also important that how this political stability will be established and how much it would be long lasting to attain the economic stability which is much needed to the entire nation. To talk on this important area, we have in our studios senior journalist Mr. Hassan Khan. Most welcome to you, Hassan, being in the studios. And online joining us, Dr. Hasnain Javed. He is the senior economist. Most welcome to you, Dr. Hasnain. My first question to you, Hassan, that do you think that after the recent developments at the political level to form a coalition government signifies the positivities and necessity to have political stability in the country?
Thank you very much, Faisal. I think, look, Faisal, let's take a confident start. The way the elections were held, especially on the election day, I think nobody can dare questions the way election was conducted on that day. Later on, people talk about the Form 45, Form 47, but that is another story which begins after late night. But the elections were held, I think, in a very cordial manner, in a very professional manners, and the entire country, I think, witnessed and people voted in favor of their favorable candidates, etc. So I think that is where the people of Pakistan can have a confidence in their institutions and the way in their country. So I think we need to appreciate the way it was conducted. Now, I'm pretty sure from the day first, I think the atmosphere was almost clear. No doubt there are allegations, but everywhere such allegations comes. And then there are institutions where these allegations can be addressed, whether it is at the election commission level, whether it is at the court level, whether it is at the tribunal level. But I think now I see that if you look at the coalition of major political parties, like we have 3 major political parties, 2 major political parties are now in a coalition. And especially those who entered into coalition government, I think they have experienced these political turbulences in the past, and they at time also agree to let every political government has a full term and to complete their terms, whether it succeed or not. That is another thing. After 5 years, they will go again to the people. Now this time, you look at the coalition. It has the Pakistan Muslim League, Pakistan People's Party, Muttahida Qawmi Movement, and a few other small political parties. So I see that once the government is formed, once the different functionaries, the Prime Minister, the President, the rest in the cabinet is formed, and we start
the chaos will die down.
Definitely it will die down. Already,
so what reflects after the major political parties agreed to collaborate, cooperate and prioritize the national interest over the partisan differences, particularly when we talk about they demonstrated a commitment to the democratic process and overall stability. Do you think?
Look, I think elections were held on February 8, and now we are almost 12 or 14 days now past. These major political parties are in talks with each other. Even the other political parties who are not going to be in the government, they are also in talks with other political parties, planning for to lodge their protest or whatever they want. But on the other side, those parties which are forming a coalition government, they are in talks with each other continuously, and definitely they are not discussing the weather of Islamabad or the
obviously they are in negotiation for
they are negotiating the major challenges which the country is facing, and top of it political stability, because the rest of then we have economic economic problems, especially the coming economic problems, and we have security problems. So I think if you don't have a political stability, so definitely you will have the economic challenges will be there. If you don't have a political stability, definitely you will have security challenges there. So I think most of the new leadership or the new parties which are going to form a coalition government, they are they have the realization that forming a government is not going to be a bed of roses. I
Obviously
think.
it
so
is.
definitely they
There are lots of
understand
challenges, definitely.
lots of challenges will be they will be facing, and definitely I'm also hearing this good news that they're also talking of having a charter of economy, because this country needs an economic plan which must be for more than, I think, almost for 2 decades. So 20 years, we must have a 20 years plan.
So
and
here
all
it comes the
political-
turn of Dr.
all the
Hasnain, I
political
think. So
parties,
that, Dr. Hasnain, Hassan is talking about the Charter of Economy. Dr.
So
Hasnain, do you think that it is important that the political players must have to come forward, unite at a single stage and go for the economic charter, because this is very important for Pakistan's future?
A very important point raised by you, actually, and Mr. Hassan. The first most important thing is that nobody wanted to have this government, actually, because 81.19 trillion of the total debt and liabilities, and it was increased at the end of the December 2023 with the 27.2%, and now it is total of 81.19 trillion debt and liabilities. And after that, you have to collect Federal Board of Revenue, you have to collect 3.5 trillion, and for just this year, you have to give them a $923 million by the tax collection and under the IMF review. And let me tell you, in second week of April, $1.8 billion is yet not, undispersed, yet not given, and we are in the middle of standby agreement. So we cannot move, and you have seen that the gas prices, electricity, inflation goes up and up every month. Energy prices, foreign demand is at around zero, no more going up. Experts stress the importance of the policy intervention, but where to go to the policy intervention? In that time, just to let you know, with the patient, please listen to me, that it's a human capital problem. So 7% of the children in the country die before their 5th birthday, and multiple times higher than the comparable countries. 40% of the children under 5 suffer from stunted growth, and it's more than 50% in the poor district. So in that stunted rate, is decade is feasible, but it will require a shift from the traditional focus only on the nutrition and health. And so all these areas, it will take strong
so Dr.
cross-sectoral.
Hasnain, when we are talking about upcoming coalition, when we are talking about upcoming coalition, do you think there would be a smooth sail, the policy implementation, ease in having legislative business and better governance, and there could be an economic growth as well? Because no doubt that at least the leadership of some of the political parties taken this burden on their own, and they are entering into a coalition. But do you think it would be a smooth sail?
Very right. That's why I create this preamble. Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Because as I told you, that there is an education system, financial improvement, tax collection, everything, and the upcoming 24th review, which is not coming in that way, because it has already been late. Cabinet size, question mark on our election process. So I would not see any of the economic charter is in that way when every party is on board. So all the parties are not on board. Only 2 parties on the board. So they are divide their the positions, and one of the party is taking just off the you can call it, there is you are not answerable to the position, whether, for example, if you are on the president position, there is not answerable, then the governors not answerable, then is the speaker not answerable, and then there is the chairman senate not answerable. So one party is on that position where is not accountable, not answerable, and second party is answerable. So all these burden going up there, and there is a planning division, there is a economic division, there is a commerce division, there is a board of investment, there is
your point,
a public
Dr. Hasnain, your
opportunities.
point well
Yeah.
taken. Hassan, when we are talking about a coalition setup, do you think that there going to be a complete inclusivity, or the voices and the concerns of various segments of society and the regions are going to be addressed or heard, and then of course the sense of unity will prevail?
I think this is very important questions, and I think and Dr. Hasnain, the fears are which he expressed, that he is not optimistic that the coalition government will go and meet these challenges head on. The reason is one of a major political coalition partner that's not willing to be part of the cabinet, though definitely they will be given certain important constitutional positions where they are very coveted positions, but they don't carry any responsibility, because it is the government, it is the cabinet, it is the prime ministers which are responsible for all. So I think these are big challenges. My hunch is that definitely there is an understanding. Whosoever I personally meet, whether I belong to any political party, they have this understanding that the country is facing dire economic challenges. This is one thing which everybody agrees over it. But unfortunately, whether they will set the day the government is formed, and if there is a proposal from the Prime Minister that lets all the political parties, just like the 18th Amendment, when 18th Amendment was being discussed, so almost 26 political parties have representation in that. Whosoever was having a representation in the parliament, they were part of that 18th Amendment
Obviously, that was done with consensus.
So I think, I'm not sure that the day Prime Minister take oath and he announced on the floor of the House that I am urging, or I am requesting all the political parties, all the political entities to come forward or send your representative to come up with a charter of economy, that whosoever is now will be in the government, they will follow this basic line. Unfortunately, look, this time the country has this state-owned enterprises, loss-making state-owned enterprises. That is a big challenge to the government. And second, privatization, the issues of privatization, this is a big challenge. And then the subsidies issues. One political party, they are not in favor of privatization. Even Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, he still in his public statement is saying that we favor public-private
even
partnership.
their manifesto shows that
so this is where I think that the challenge, this is where you have to, I think, build the case, that how to convince your coalition partners to support you at least on floor of the House, because that will be the major challenge for the leading political parties which is forming the government, like the Pakistan Muslim League, to convince its other coalition partners, one, to do away with the state-owned enterprises who are in losses, who are making billions of rupees losses annually, and two, to go for the privatizations, because privatization, now the government job is not to do business. We are in 21st century. In 21st century, the government is just, I think, facilitating business, the private sector. It is not even not regulating it. And neither it is involved in the conduct of business.
Okay.
So I think
your point well taken. Dr. Hasnain, when we are talking about, as Hassan is saying, that privatization is going to be a huge challenge, especially of the state-owned enterprises who are at loss, and you have to inject billions of rupees every year. So one party is against the privatization and other party in favor of that. So both parties are in coalition. So do you think that the political forces have already realized that there must have to be calm at the political front? We have to go on with the political stability and having a shared vision for national development, stability and prosperity.
Hassan's comment is a sigh of relief for me. So after a very long time, I have heard like this, and of course you are the most favorite anchor yet now, because
thank you very much for the compliment, but most of the compliment goes to Hassan, really.
We need to understand the pragmatic approach. We need to understand the logical rationale. Please try to understand. So
Definitely.
we have see, 22% of the total budget is a government spending. In the Punjab, if I go in Punjab, 137 plus 50 plus 22 people are the independent. You have to deal with the independent. They will call for the ministries. They will ask for the ministries. So in total, the Punjab government has been formed. So in that way, the government spending will increase or decrease. So they will do whatever the cost is on the election. They will comply on that, or they are going for the charter of economy. They are going for the children under the nutrition, under the unhygienic problem, under the education, under the problem of other things.
Well elaborated. Hassan, when we are talking about stability, what it means for Pakistan, what it means for the entire world and the region, whether Pakistan is going to be credibility of the political parties, that shows that Pakistan is going to stand up in the entire community of nation in the region at the global level?
I don't expect that Pakistan's position to be the one which it was in the past, especially going through the current crisis. And the crisis, whether, as I earlier said, is a political crisis, there is security crisis, and there are economic crisis. And you know, the best man for the job is who can big in a much better way outside in the international community. So once you have a bigging bowl, so I think you don't have that luxury then to stand up and say something from your own side. You have to follow the lines, whether that is the lines of the friends, whether the lines of the international monetary bodies, etc., are those countries which are controlling these international monetary bodies, etc. So I think this is the time for the leadership of the Pakistani leadership. And I'm not only saying the political leadership, but those, whether it was the security leadership, whether it was the civil society, whether it was the political, whosoever, I think they have to do their job well.
So Hassan, do you think that the coalition government will be able to take some sort of bitter decisions, hard decisions, which are not, might be politically welcoming?
There is no option. They have to take it. The reason is whether you have to safeguard your political interest, you have to safeguard the state interest. If you want the country to survive, as you have to take unpopular decision. Like in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the incoming government, they have announced that we will go with the sweeping provision of the health card itself. But you know what is the health of the economy of the province? It is not able to pay the salaries of essential services at the moment. How can you have that luxury to go for a blanket provision of the health card, etc.? So I think whatever government, whoever is the prime ministers or the cabinet, they will have this challenge that they will go unpopular, and they will become unpopular. The reason is, if you don't have that, what you call it, the guts to take that decision, so I think it is better not to go and sit on that seat. The reason is that the coming days are more challenging for Pakistan.
Definitely,
I think even it is for the people of Pakistan to be ready for
right.
it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Hassan, for your presence here in the studios. Thank you very much for that. Dr. Hasnain, when we are talking about, as Hassan rightly said, that now the political parties are at very critical juncture, particularly when we are talking about the upcoming coalition government. They were very ambitious in their manifestos. Do you think really that they will navigate through existing crisis and pave the way for entire nation for having the socio-economic uplift and particularly for a stabilized economy?
Mr. Faisal, the most important thing is Al Jazeera quoted me in very soon in his full report. I have said that the government has to continue to take steps which are anti-populist in nature, and subsidies, no subsidies on gas, petroleum cannot be resumed, exchange rate cannot be manipulated, and the focus should not be reduced expense, and the balance of payment is the biggest crisis. In that way, Faisal, try to understand, nobody can take a liberty, and the government is not in the hand of any of the government, whosoever is the prime minister, whosoever is the chief executive. They have to deal with the IMF, they have to give the budget, which is not populist, and they cannot give any relief in the education sector or in the health sector. So if they are not going to give any subsidy in the agriculture sector or the real estate sector, they cannot reduce any of the tax relaxation in those both sectors, and not into the social sector where it is just the education and health.
So, Dr.
if there is
Hasnain,
no relaxation,
when we are talking about stability internally, stability externally, so how do you see that whether Pakistan's diplomacy will be enough boosted with the political stability, at least a considerable stability in the country to attain the economic objective abroad? How do you see that?
the only reason and the only solution I'm going to have is that must be one operation. The people who want to have a prime minister must have to listen, and the prime minister must have. Every people, every person of the nation must have to understand and realize that there is going to be a 10 year of the tough situation, and we must have to go on. And then we have to focus on the export-led society and export cottage industry, and then we can create a plan. And there would be no more crisis, and there should be no more crisis from the Balochistan. There should no voice from the Karachi, and there should be no voice in any of other. So every person politically sensitized and to understand the situation, because Pakistan is now preparing for the 24th IMF review in March under the 3 billion standby agreement, and try to understand standby agreement give us the authority to halt the economy. So the condition is very much alarming, and I am
definitely it's a tough condition, Dr. Hasnain, well elaborated. We welcome here Brigadier retired Hamid Rashid Malik Sahib. He is the senior analyst. Most welcome to you, Brigadier Hamid. When we are talking about particularly the economy and the political stability, how you sense the period, whether the period of chaos, the political chaos ends, and a promising trajectory towards political stability, some sort of effective governance, and the economic recovery starts now, or we have to wait for a while?
I think this is desire of every citizen of Pakistan, that the trajectory what we witnessed for the last 3-4 months should continue. And we got support from the IMF, and the economic meltdown which we were sensing has been averted, but it is not end of the scheme of the government for our citizen for the economic growth. And what is required now is the political stability and maturity.
Okay.
These are two steps toward the economic progression and development, and what we see that political stability has direct link with the economic growth. And when there is a political meltdown, there is political instability also. And also one thing more which we need to understand, that the triangle of democracy, bureaucracy and the technocracy is the model which facilitate economic growth in a country. They work hand in gloves. And we need to understand as a citizen of Pakistan that we need this mechanism to flourish, this mechanism to provide stability. And without stability, there will not be any foreign direct investment coming to Pakistan. Rather, there will be capital flight taking place. And we have seen in Sri Lanka and in other countries also that the political instability leads to meltdown. And being a nuclear country, our security paradigm basically anchors on economic stability also. And from that perspective also, I think it is imperative for Pakistan and for the citizen as far as the political leadership and for all the state, I think, stakeholders of Pakistan to understand that the political stability and economic stability should be there to flourish in Pakistan.
Definitely that goes hand in hand. When we are talking about Brigadier retired Hamid, the security paradigm of Pakistan, because we have lots of security threats as well, and particularly the volatile regions are Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So how do you see there are considerable hopes that there might be, although the coalition in Balochistan, but that would be a strong coalition government. And again, there would be in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, there would be a single party government, but that would be a strong government. So how do you see, in sense of strong governments in these two provinces particularly, what would be the ultimate security apparatus? So what would be the ultimate stability in these provinces? Because we don't have to forget that CPAC is going through Balochistan, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa again a very important province when it comes to water availability, when it comes to crops, when it comes to businesses, and also the trade with Afghanistan.
I think this is the most important aspect which will be now on the heads of the new political government which is going to be formed. And what we see that Pakistan has a bicameral parliament system. We have the National Assembly where the people come, representatives come through a direct vote from the different areas, and they basically also show the hopes as well as the demands of the different parts of Pakistan. And then we have the Senate, which is basically for the unity of Pakistan. And we have such a beautiful system of political setup in Pakistan. What is the problem is the polarization, is the intolerance, is the impatience. And for political stability, you need to have patience, you need to have a vision. And I think whichever party forms the government, it needs to take along all these political parties for the economic growth. And what is that? That is will come through when you have a national debate for the economy, when you go for a purpose-built discussion for economy, what should be the economic reforms, what should be the
You're talking about some sort of a national dialogue, and you have consensus on that, particularly when you're talking about economy.
Your point when it is related to
Dr. Hasnain, when we are talking about a coalition government, do you think that the next government is going to supplement what efforts made by Special Investment Facilitation Council to bring, to protect and to ease investments, and also to have ease of doing businesses in Pakistan for quick economic recovery? Do you think so?
If this government completed 6 months till June and July, if there would be no change in the government, and if the Balochistan, Sindh, Punjab, KPK, they all are on the one table, then the situation will be different. Now, we have the two, the solution, or the only solution is 7 most critical ministries and 25 technocrats. This is the whole number what we need. If we go with this way, then I am optimistic. Otherwise, I am completely pessimistic because I have 2 reasons. One is IMF and upcoming budget. And IMF gives all directions to the budget. And if there is a budget which is unpopulistic in nature, of course it is going to be unpopulistic, then you cannot breathe and the people will burn again. So because have you seen that the gas prices, have you seen the electricity prices, have you seen other things, and have you seen how the power sector is developing? They are producing the power, the electricity from the diesel of the high price and the crude oil from the high price. So this is not the way. The technocrat must be needed. We just need a electricity from the water, no other alternatives, please. So now the IMF Executive Board program for Pakistan is focused on the most important thing is try to understand that the implementing 24 fiscal year budget to ensure the debt sustainability and protect critical social spending. So social spending is much important. So you cannot give the social spending in that much amount because we have just a reserve of 8 point something billion, and which is again the rollovers, which is again the window dressing. In actual, we don't have any money to have the reserves. So returning to the market determined exchange rate, that is very much important, and proper FX market functioning to absorb the external shocks. Now we must have to follow the real effective rate, no the intermarket and open market. We must have to determine the intermarket and open market. No more risks, please. Now, risk to new IMF deal, this is my major concern. The close outcome of Pakistan election and resulting near-term political uncertainty may complicate the country's effort to secure the financing agreement with the IMF. This is my first and most important.
As you have said, rightly said, Dr. Hasnain, that Pakistan is already into the $3 billion of standby agreement with the IMF, and that is going on. And a review mission is expected in Pakistan. That is again going to be a question. And then afterwards, there is a possibility, very much likely, that there would be another long-term agreement with IMF for economic stability. So how do you see that? What is there for the coalition government? What are the cards they have to play, and what are the real-time steps they have to take at first whenever the government is going to set up?
First, they have to ask all of the government to be formed in, and the national government. Of course, I have to I have to appreciate the Chief of Army Staff. He must have to intervene, and he have to ask to have the national government and every government must have to have the stake. But of course, the government size is not the matter. All parties must have to understand they cannot go for the 87 or 89 of the biggest government size of the cabinet size. We need technocrats. Now we cannot go for, okay, let's have the parliamentary system and all the solution comes from the parliament. Otherwise, if the solution goes on the road, the trade, the import and export and whole of the problem is going on to, and Pakistan is being discussed everywhere. This is the biggest flaw. So we must have to be optimistic. Pakistani political parties must have to mature. They must have to grow up, and they must have to understand the situation that nobody, even any of the party, for example, if some of the party says that they are securing the absolute majority, even the absolute majority party cannot do anything because we are under the IMF review. So try to understand under the IMF, they cannot do anything. So the new deal is key to country credit profile. That is one important. I hope one will be achieved within the few months. But in the extended negotiation or the failure to secure it would be increase external liquidity stress and raise the probability of default. And this is the probability of default. I'm not, it is not the fear. I'm just telling you it is a probability of default, so we have to work on. So the Pakistan is vulnerable. External position mean that the securing financing from the multilateral and bilateral partners will be one of the most urgent issue on the agenda for the new government. And new government mean new government. New government must have to call everyone. And they have to resolve their political issues.
You're quite well taken. Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right that new government must have to call everyone. Brigadier Ahmad, when we are talking about whether the upcoming coalition government is going to sustain and expand what the Special Investment Facilitation Council has already set and what the hard work already done. So do you think that that is going to expand and sustain?
Surely, they must have inherited a very good solid system of reforms which has been taken by the caretaken government, and also the SIFC has played a very vital role in not only attracting the foreign direct investment, but also infusing a trust and confidence on investors for coming to Pakistan and for going for the one window operation, and also easing out ease of business in Pakistan. But here also an important aspect which need to be, I think, recognized by all political parties, that apart from the government, opposition has a very responsible role to play.
Obviously.
And what we have seen in the developed countries, that the opposition form shadow ministries, and they also come up certain initiatives and certain suggestions for the government which are based on the aspiration of the populace. And if we also have that majority in our parliament, where the government as well as the opposition, they work for the economic revival, they go for those policies, either they are good, and at the same time, what IMF has asked us to do is to have a good financial discipline. And it is for the betterment of Pakistan. It is betterment for all the political parties to understand, and all the initiative, as you said, SFC and other initiative, Green Pakistan also, and for the mineral development also, and certain industries and certain areas which has been focused now, it should continue, because it will give Pakistan a very solid start for the new government to take a plunge for the more economic growth.
Well elaborated. Dr. Hasnain, when we are talking about particularly the CPAC projects and the, in particular the second phase of the CPAC, do you think that during the coalition government there would be a robust change in perspective in the overall scenario, that CPAC is going to be quickly going on, and secondly, the more Chinese investment would be bring in? Do you think so it is the case?
I have seen that for the foreign direct investment, Pakistan has a policy rate of 22%, which is going to be 23% or 24%, and it cannot go down. Now the CPAC, the portion, the only guarantor is Pakistan military, and now they must have to create the single window operation. I am in the China. I have this book for, let's see, this is the Xi Jinping, the governance of China. So I have understand every area. So they are working for the resource area. They are working for other areas.
Dr. Hasnain, your point well taken. If you just briefly tell us about that, not only the CPAC, but also a free trade agreement with the GCC countries is still pending.
Yes.
Then, of course, there is,
and
with the European Union, there is a 4 years period given by the European Union regarding GSP plus. So we have to enter into negotiation with lots of countries and clubs afterwards. So how do you see those prospects?
Remember, Faisal, I told you we have to reduce down the policy rate from the 22 or 23% to the 11% or the 10%. Otherwise, no foreign direct investment, no GSP plus, no other reason. Why should any other people could come into that area? See, we have the 9 economic zone. We have to give the complete holiday in that area. So we just have the land, and then resources are higher. So we have to reduce down the resources. For example, the cotton yarn and the other thing, the other resources, the textile sector, we have to give the targeted subsidies. Of course, we have, if you don't want to announce, but we need to give the few, and then the competitive rate, and then the complete tax holiday to the all special economic zone, because all we have is the land. So if somebody wanted to have the processing unit, if somebody wanted to have the oil cleansing or fertilizers or anything else, they wanted to introduce the factories over there or manufacturing units over here.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely right, Dr. Hasnain. Absolutely right. You have well elaborated, but unfortunately we have run short of time. So a very candid discussion. Thank you very much for being with us online. Thank you very much for your precious time. When we are talking about Brigadier Retired Hamid, as Dr. Hasnain very well elaborated, that there are ample chances that CPAC and rest of the projects are going to be robust in the upcoming coalition government, but it needs to be focused, because when we are talking about that, if the one side is working efficiently, like military bureaucracy and the civil one, some of the civil one, but a political side must have to take the responsibility.
Surely, and when we talk of political stability, actually what it is based on maturity, it is also based on the roles of the government, coalition government, by the different parties, and by the opposition also. What we forget always, that opposition has a very responsible role to play in parliament, because it is the one who is the first whistleblower of saying that the government is deviating from the national interest, and it is also the main prime pivot where the aspiration of the people can be taken care of.
So you have yourself elaborated, Brigadier Retired Hamid, when we are talking about the how could be a long-term economic stability, investors' confidence, and the hiccups and hurdles which are there must have to be removed, as SIFC has the prime mandate to remove all those bottlenecks. So how we have to create such an environment with the political stakeholders, with the military, with the civil bureaucracy, and all of them united at single platform?
This is basically unity of effort, first thing. And then is understanding the national interest, not by the person, by the leadership and or by the military or civil bureaucrats, but also by the every citizen.
Definitely.
And when we have that unity of purpose, and we understand that the economic growth is give a better life to all citizens of Pakistan, and then the transparency, fair play. And with these attributes, I think the Pakistan has a good future for the economic growth as for the economic potential it has. And when we see that we have lot of potentials in IT, we have lot of potential in agriculture and in other industries also.
Definitely.
But what is the failing part is implementation of the different policies. And here I think SIFC and bureaucracy, either military or the civil bureaucracy, has to play a very important role.
Definitely. Your point well taken. Thank you very much, Brigadier Retired Hamid Rashid Malik sahab, for your time and very candid views. Thank you very much for your presence in the studios. Viewers, as you have listened to our panelists, it is a dire need that the whole of the nation approach must have to be taken, and right now a coalition government is going to be in power soon, and we have to be, as a nation, we have to be united, and this is the time that when the next government has to take actions and implement all those actions, because Pakistan's economic stability means that Pakistan is going to be a robust country, and for that matter every government stakeholder, and along with the political parties, the political leadership, the military and the civil bureaucracy, all have to be united, all have to work together for better Pakistan and for bringing all those investments from the international arena to Pakistan as well. We have all the impetus to go on. We are the resilient nation, and Pakistan must have to grow, and Pakistan can grow. But for that matter, we have needed a unity and sincerity of the purpose. This is all from the Foresight today. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.